Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. We're making mini chicken pot pie. Halal, of course. We're going to start off with some vegetable broth. Add some flour to that. Stir that in just to thicken it a little bit, and that'll be utilized for the interior of the pot pie or the soup for the consistency that we would like. We don't want a watery soup inside of the crust. Inshallah. Stir until there aren't any lumps and set that aside. Add some olive oil or some oil and some garlic. I like to use these frozen cubes from Trader Joe's because they're already done. Make things easier for me, inshallah. Got some halal chicken breast already cooked and cut into small pieces. Some frozen organic mixed vegetables. We're just going to saute all that together. Then we're going to pour in some of this vegetable broth, again, without the flour. It's low sodium, so we're going to add our own additional seasoning. And then this is when we add the flour mixed in with the vegetable broth. Typically, vegetable broth is not used. It's halal chicken broth. I couldn't find any, nor did I want to make any from scratch. So I used vegetable instead and add my seasoning as well as some salt. Stir it until it gets a good simmer. I'm going to add additional butter. So this is vegan butter. And this is the vegan butter I like to use because it comes in a huge portion bucket of it. It's vegan and it's halal and it doesn't have anything that we're allergic to in it. Inshallah, it will never change. This is the dairy-free milk I've chosen, which is the soy unsweetened milk. Typically, chicken pot pie has heavy cream, dairy or dairy milk, and dairy butter. So those are the substitutions we've made or alterations we've made to make this chicken pot pie come together, inshallah. Once it cooks and thickens to the desired consistency, you can turn that off, set that aside, let that cook. This is the chicken pot pie crust I will be using. The ingredients were halal and allergy friendly. I think I left it in the freezer a little bit too long because it was not as unrolling as smoothly as it probably should have, but nonetheless, doesn't matter. We're going to use this empanada, Jamaican beef patty, calzone cutter to make the shapes. I'm using a baking pan, a large muffin baking pan, non-stick, so I'm not going to line it. I'm just going to put the crust directly into each muffin spot. And this diameter worked well for my muffin pan. However, whichever muffin pan or cupcake pan you use, definitely use what works best for you, inshallah. I just lined each and every one of them, make sure the crust is touching all sides of each muffin spot because we're going to put in the soup or the filling. And then we're going to cut some of the top layer crust. So it's basically double crusted top and bottom layer. Mini pie. I am inept at the rolling pin, so please disregard this. If you're better, go ahead. But I was able to somehow roll and mesh some of the pieces together and make or cut out some additional pieces for the top crust because we want this to be a double crusted mini pot pie, as well as not waste any portion of our ingredients or any food, inshallah. I was able to use the diameter of this measuring bowl, a small measuring bowl, it's about a cup. That worked well for the top layer of crust for my mini. Basically rinse and repeat. Once again, still inept at using rolling pin, but Now we moved on to just filling in the interior. I used probably about a quarter cup twice. So each scoop was probably about half a cup because these are extra large muffin spots. My muffin pan is for an extra large muffin. And then just use a fork to make sure the top and bottom crust touch. This was a way to seal it. I used a fork, nothing fancy, to pinch it in. Some kept seeping out, but I poked holes into all of them except one. I wanted to see if it was necessary to even poke a hole, if that was even needed. So that'll be our control, the one without the poke hole. Then I brushed it with some butter, the vegan butter, on top. Put it in the oven. This is what it looked like. And when it was finished, this is what it looked like. And some still seeped out of all of them, so I basically don't think it was necessary to vent it and poke holes on top, but nonetheless, they all came out really easily and they were not even lined, so I'm pretty happy with the non-stick muffin baking pan because each mini pot pie came out really easily, and this is what it looked like. Definitely was decadent, smelled really good, and each section had a good amount of chicken in there. There are at least two pieces of chicken per bite or taste. Nothing left. You know what happens from here. Very delectable, delicious, alhamdulillah. Conscientiously, love what you eat.